Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Focus In, and I'm your host, Ethan. This week's episode it's kind of a hefty one, right? And by hefty, I mean it's kind of a topic I think photographers should at least be talking about now, and especially for the near future, right? It's like AI. Everybody's been talking about AI recently, and I think it's something that we should definitely start talking about now, because the question becomes, well, can AI become photographer's greatest ally or its worst enemy, right? So, artificial intelligence has just been making the rounds lately on the internet with ChatGPT, DALL-E 2, and all these things. People are using it to write essays, and they're using it to do a lot of things, right? That usually we'd end up doing. I mean, there's a whole strike right now, I believe in Hollywood or one of those departments, where the writers are on strike because AI can just write. AI can just write how they talk and how they make episodes, and it kind of just removes that creativity from them, which I can understand. I don't think that's the sole reason for the strike, but that's one of the reasons I think is for the strike. So I personally think that AI could be a potential threat to the photography world, right? For example, AI like DALL-E 2, it's been in the works for a while now, right? All you have to do is like type up a prompt, and then poof, you just have an image. And I don't want to say it's scary, but like what boggles me is that companies like Adobe are implementing this AI into their programs. But don't get me wrong, I'm not like against AI. I'm not going to discredit how helpful AI has been, when it comes down to creative works. I'm not going to discredit that, And I'm not anti AI or anything. I just feel as if it could pose a threat to the photography scene if not done correctly, right? I remember seeing this tweet a few months ago. I think it was either in May or March. I think it was in March. It was on Twitter, which it's now known as X, but I don't like that name. It's so terrible. But anyways, I didn't pay much mind to it until I was writing this episode, right? And according to this camera, according to the tweet, it uses location data. Like it doesn't have an actual lens. It has no lens. It's just like the body and like some like radar looking thing, right? It uses location data to describe the place you're in and then use that prompt from location data to pump out an AI generated image. The camera, I like the name though, Paragraphica. I like it. It sounds really cool. I don't know why, but it's amazing, right? Like to say the least, it's amazing and it's fascinating. And I want to know how it works, right? It has dials on it, so you can adjust how much data you like feed into the camera, which I guess still keeps that analog feel to it, right? And it is said that it is a prototype. It's still a prototype, right? Or it's still in the works. It's not like fully developed, but it has a working prototype, right? So from my understanding, right, I think you put in prompts, right? You say like, okay, here's where I am, here's what I want, right? And then it converts that location data to a text prompt, and then it puts that text prompt into some AI. I don't know which AI model he's using, but it turns that into an image, right? He actually further explains this on his website, right? So he has like a bunch of if then statements. So it's like if this, then execute this, and then each of those if then has like a script of what data to collect, right? And this really is a work of art right here. Like the amount of time and programming you have to put into this, and like even looking outside of the whole AI photography thing, I think it's a really cool idea. I think it's a really cool project, right? Like it's something that I'd look into. Like I'd be like, oh, this is pretty cool. Like this was actually on the market. I think I'd actually buy it. Just play around with it and see, because then it's an interesting idea. But like I said, it could still pose a threat to the photography world, when you think about it, because then it's like that skill curve for being a photographer, it's just kind of gone. Like the amount of hours you have to put in just to learn and be a photographer, it just kind of goes away. But I'm gonna discuss that next. Right, I'm gonna discuss that soon. And I saw this somewhere. I don't remember where I saw this, but it was really like ironic to me and funny to me. It's like, look, I know this is scary, but I'm not trying to spook photographers or anything. I'm not trying to take them out of the business. And I was like, that's kind of funny. I mean, in a good way. It was like, yeah, I know this could be a threat, but I'm not. Don't take it as a threat. But when you think about it, right, he just has this like tech, like he made this himself, and he just casually has this lying around. Imagine if like companies, like even outside of photography, start mass producing this, right? Like for example, in my head, I was like, what if Microsoft gets on this? What if Microsoft gets out there Bing AI on this and makes their own model of this camera? Unless he patents it, But I mean, like honestly, it could just be me overthinking, but it sounds like it could put photographers out of business, right? And I just, like I said earlier, I feel like the learning curve for photography just gets lower as AI gets better, you know? And like, for example, when you think about it, right? If it already wasn't known, everybody's smartphones nowadays uses the chipset, right? Or just uses yeah, I wouldn't say chipset, but uses like the internals or the chip, the CPU. Let's say that, just to say the CPU, right? Inside the phone to like enhance the photo you take, right? And it kind of compensates for any mishaps in your photo. This has gotten faster, right? It's gotten faster, but at least on my phone, and I own a Note 10 Plus, like 4 years. I think it came out like 2019, right? You can still kind of see that lag and that delay on it. Like, when you click the shutter button and it kind of pauses for a second and then it takes a photo and then it saves it. Yeah, it's kind of doing that thing where it's like processing and layering and all that type of stuff, which, it's which I guess using the CPU isn't really per se using AI, but at the same time, it's like it's still taking a while to process that photo. And I just feel as if like when you use that to compensate for a lot of things in your pictures, like if you have to use AI or like some form of like software on the software end to like compensate for, processing the image. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, but when it comes down to photography, it's like you don't really get that. Once you click that button, that image is taken. There's no redos. I mean, obviously, it depends on what type of photography you're doing. Like, if you're doing like an event, if you're doing like like a photography for occasions, then yeah, definitely, you can't really redo that. But if you're doing like your own personal photography, then yeah, you can like mess with the settings and be like, okay, this wasn't good, and try it again, you know? Like, and also, this doesn't mean like the camera on the phone is bad. It's just how you think about it. When it comes down to like taking pictures on your phone, everybody just wants a quick snap. Everybody just wants to, okay, snap here, snap there, in a way, point and shoot, right? What I'm trying to get at is that with the new age of photography, it's become so easy to get a good picture with the quality between like a DSLR or a mirrorless camera, and your brand spanking new iPhone. Like the quality is it's getting really close, right? It's getting too close for measure, in my opinion. I just feel like the learning curve for an actual camera, it's gonna be all for nothing soon. Because now little Timmy just needs an iPhone 14 and can take photos shockingly close in quality, right? I mean, it might undervalue the meaning of photography a bit, right? I mean, I'm not saying you need a fancy DSLR camera to be a high-end photographer. I mean, look at me. I started with like a Nikon Coolpix. I think it was like the S9 or something like that. It had the letter S and had like number 9 in there somewhere. I don't know where, but yeah, it's like you don't need that. You don't need high-end like phones are coming so close to DSLR cameras now that it's like, what's the point? Now, like I said, your little average Timmy can just get an iPhone 14 and just start taking photos and they look really good. I'm not saying like photography on phones has to get bad. I'm not saying that, but in like years prior, if you had a DSLR camera, like that was taking some good photos, And when I sit down and think about it, I'm just like, whoa, dang, man, like how do you even compete with that? I mean, smartphones are gonna get better, obviously, over time. They're always gonna get better. But at the same time, it's just like with the new age of cameras, it's like, what's the point of buying a DSLR camera anymore if you can just get an iPhone that does a camera and that has all these apps and all this type of stuff when you can just, like I said, just get an iPhone. And I feel like what it means to be a photographer, right? Like obviously and the meaning, how do I say this? Like in my opinion, right? The meaning of being a photographer, it's like it's subjective, right? Like there's no objective definition to being a photographer, right? When you think about it, because maybe my meaning of being a photographer could be different from somebody else, right? My meaning could be, oh, like I said in the last episode, I was like, hey, you have to capture the moment, right? You want to capture the moment so people have something to remember and look back on and be like, hey, this is what happened, Maybe that's my meaning of being a photographer. They help capture the moment, capture the beauty in the moment, or make the best out of any moment, right? Because then, I mean, honestly, even as a photographer now, like there are times where I'm just like, dang man, I wish I could just, I really wish I could go out and go take pictures of the city and whatnot, which is all fine and dandy. Don't get me wrong, right? But also, I just realized I'm kind of sidetracked, but I'm gonna bring it back. Trust me. But like I was saying, I want to go out into like the city and do cityscapes and all that type of stuff. But then you kind of have to work with what you have. You have to make art out of nothing. You have to make something out of nothing. And that, like I said, that's my opinion of being a photographer, right? That's why I say it's so subjective. You see all these good photos on like Instagram and all these other different websites where it's like, oh yeah, my image looks so good, because I took it in the city. It's so colorful and all this. And I'm like, look, it's not the fact that it's bad, but it's not creative. At least in my opinion, it looks good. Don't get me wrong. Like I really appreciate it. It looks good, but it's just not as creative. And I just feel like when it comes down to like the editing side, like most photographers edit their photos, like AI can help with that, right? AI can be implemented into these programs like Adobe, and get into Photoshop, and it helps you just like create things. And like I said, AI has a creative side, but there's always going to be that one bad person who's always going to mess up AI for us. Or is always going to mess with it and make it do stuff or just make it do stuff it's not supposed to do, right? Like when you think back to like the dawn of the internet, obviously I wasn't born. I don't know if any of my listeners were born around that time, but when the dawn of the internet, it's such a good thing when you think about it. It's like you have all this information in one place, right? Everything, you have access to everything in one place. And then it's like, oh yeah, and by the way, there's always that one person, because now you can do so many things on the internet. You can do so many bad things on the internet, right? I'm not gonna get specific, but you know what I'm talking about. You can do so many bad things on the internet that it's just like when you apply that same concept to AI, it's like AI can help with so many things. Oh, you need some help, fixing up or rewording this and fixing up this essay? Sure. But now people are using it to write whole essays. And it's like, I get it, right? Even as a student myself, there are times where I get lazy and sometimes I just want the answer. I'm not even going to lie about it. But at the same time, though, it doesn't feel like you're not really the one that's learning and doing it, because then now you feel stuck. It's like some people end up like spending time trying to use AI to like, okay, write this essay, and it doesn't come out how they want it. I'm like, all that time you're sitting there to like want AI to write the essay, you could have at least gotten some ideas down by now. But like I said, I can at least relate to these people. I'm not like talking down on them or like, oh, don't use AI to write essays and whatnot. I mean, people are going to do it regardless. Like, we're not perfect. We're humans, for crying out loud. But back to my point, right? Like I said, I think the meaning of photography can just be undermined, right? Since AI can just pump out images based on a prompt. And well, I think the photography world is okay for now, right? For now. I think we're still at a potential threat for having jobs taken over by AI. Like I said earlier, I'm not anti AI, right? It has many benefits for its users, and most people don't think how it can just replace jobs, right? Like AI, it's gonna get good. It just has to get good unless we just say, okay, we're gonna stop, right? I was watching this video from I forgot her name, Cleo Abram. She's on YouTube, and I think her series is called Huge, If True. And she was doing an interview. I think it was about AI, and there was some official, and he was saying, we have to stay on top of AI. We can't really slow down because we're above AI on everybody else, right? We're above everybody else. Like, I think he specifically called out China too. He was like, yeah, we have to be above China because if anybody gets this technology, like America's really good at AI right now. And I'm like, yeah, we're not stopping AI anytime soon. Yeah, it's just not gonna stop anytime soon, right? But like, I'm shocked and amazed and like how powerful AI has become and how so fast. Like, let's take ChatGPT for example. It came out in like November of 2022. It is August of 2023. In less than a year, ChatGPT has grown significantly enough. It can write essays and give somewhat human responses back to us. And it can take almost any prompt you throw at it and handle it, you know? And I was like, when you think about that, right? If you apply that same thing to like Dolly 2, right? I believe that's the AI that you can like type a prompt and it's like, okay, we're gonna pump this out now, right? When you think about that, It's like, okay, if ChatGPT can get this good, think about Dolly too. Think about all the like other creative AI that can like get good, right? Even though a Dolly 2, I believe it's more for like artists, because I think it was a whole thing where it's like, who has the rights for this, which I'm actually going to talk about. Who has the rights for this image, this and that, because AI has to pull from somewhere, right? But AI, it's weird. It's growing fast, but AI is still in this primitive stage, right? It's still in this super primitive stage. And but it's growing so fast, which it sounds like it counters it, but it really doesn't, which I kind of don't understand. But at the same time, though, I like, okay, you know what? Fine. We just have to accept it and move on, right? But like I said, AI, it's gonna get scary. It is getting scary, and it is gonna grow, and it is gonna get better. And the only way we can really stop AI, right, is depending on what we feed it. And like I said, that goes into my next point: copyright in AI, right? So the way AI works, from my understanding, right, and I could be wrong, is that it has to pull data from somewhere. It needs a source, right, to pull that data from somewhere. So, like for example, when you like ask for a prompt, like a hyper specific prompt, like let's say an image of John, right? Let's just assume John is a super famous person. Everybody knows him, right? And we ask Dolly to like, okay, give me an image of John driving in a purple Ferrari in Monaco, right? Let's just say that, right? And this is just an example. A photographer would have taken a photo of John and posted it online for the AI to know who John is, right? It has to know, like it has to pull from somewhere, right? So the AI is gonna be like, okay, let me check my databases, whatever that database is, Google, Bing, I don't know. For all I know, it could be Firefox. I don't think that's a database. Technically, it is. It's a search engine, but whatever, right? AI has to pull from that, and it's like, okay, I'm gonna mix these images, okay, mush, 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 okay, poof, here's your image now, right? It's not gonna give credit to that photographer. It's not, right? And the argument, it's broad to say because there are many photographs of John on the internet, right, by many other photographers. But the AI is never gonna give credit, right? It's always gonna be like, okay, here's what we're gonna do. We're going to pull this and we're gonna pull that, right? And it's just like I don't know, man. Like it's gonna pull it from somewhere, right? And it's not gonna give credit to those photographers. Like I said, the argument can be made. It's a really broad thing because everybody's gonna have pictures of John, right? But it has to pull from somewhere, and it's not gonna give credit to the photographers. And kind of like how I mentioned earlier, it's like this really affected artists, right? Because artists will be like, okay, I'm gonna draw this, and I think AI would like take it, or AI would make an image of something, and it's like, okay, you can't really copyright AI. You can and you can't. It's really weird, like legally, right? And it's just, but like I said, the whole copyright thing really applies more to artists and generative AI, but I think it can also be applied to photography. And what's scarier is that you'll never know if your work is being used to make the image asked by the prompt. You will never know. So it could pull from your image, but it will never give you credit. And then now you're just essentially living off of all that hard work you did. Now it's like, yeah, by the way, it's mine now. So that's just yeah, AI has grown so much. It's grown so much exponentially that it's not even funny. AI is just this, I don't know how to say it. It really is just a scary thing that I think we should all be just aware of, right? But nobody's really gonna talk about it because the same, at least from what I know, and I could be wrong, the same people who are using are the same people who don't know about it that much. People are gonna use AI and be like, oh, it sounds good and it sounds smart, you know. And this is just for clarity. It's not like I haven't used AI myself, right? But I haven't used it to write like whole essays. Like I still have to put my creative input into it because it's not gonna sound like you, right? I remember one time I was texting my friend and like he sent me a prompt. He literally sent me something copy and pasted straight from like Chat GPT, and I was like, dude, did you type this in Chat GPT? And he's like, yeah. I'm like, dude, because you don't talk like that, right? And I know this whole episode was like AI and photography, how those kind of like work against or work together, or can be like photography's newest rival. But like I just feel as if when it comes down to AI, it's going to take away that human element from a lot of things, because I personally believe we can't program feelings and emotions, right? Because those are subjective, like, or what quantifies as emotions, right? Like, for example, let's just say, and I was talking with my neighbor about this a few weeks ago, and I was like, you know, like, if people program feelings, I'd be really surprised. I just don't think it's possible, right? Because when you think about it, it's like, okay, what quantifies as anger? For anger, maybe for me, might just be me closing my mouth and sitting down, or anger for somebody else might be just them throwing a tantrum or something like that. Yeah, you can mix those both and make like a whole database of it, but it's really hard to like, it's hard to quantify what emotions are. Like I said, AI. The only problem with AI is that the problem and upside about AI is that it doesn't have feelings, and that's a good thing too, because then now you won't have like these super personalized things. And I feel like I'm just rambling here, but it's like it's just you really don't know where AI is gonna go, and you really do hope it's gonna go in the right path for now. But like I said, think about the dawn of the internet when it was first coming around. The internet came on, it was like, okay, you can access all this information from one place. And then now it's like, yeah, now you can do bad stuff on the internet. You can also do good stuff, but you can also do bad stuff. And that's what people are going to use AI to do. And like I said, man, AI is scary. It's interesting, but scary, because then you never know. It could be replacing jobs soon, teachers. And like I said, it could be replacing photographers because you can just make up an image. Like I said, it's still primitive because there's actually an experiment ran. I think it's by Forbes. I could be wrong about that. But it was an experiment ran, and it was like make an image of chocolate or something like that. And it didn't come out right? But then there's also this image, I think it was going around on like Twitter or something like that. And the image that it pumped out looks really good. The only reason you could tell it wasn't like an actual image taken by a photographer is by the hands. I don't know why AI gets the hands messed up, but the people who make these AI, I don't think they kind of know like the power they have, because they're just like, okay, all right, yeah, I can do this wonderful stuff, and it's like, okay, it can do this wonderful thing, but you have to also realize people are gonna use it for bad, right? I mean, there's nothing you can really do about it, but you also have to realize like people are gonna use it for bad, whether you like it or not. But they just see it as, oh, it's so innovative and all this, and it's like, yes, it is very innovative. Yes, I think it is interesting, but this falls in the wrong hands, and it's all over, buddy. I'm just being honest here, but yeah, AI has grown so much and it's grown so fast. But those are just my thoughts on AI and photography, and if AI could be photography's newest rival in the next few years. Well, thank you for listening to this week's episode. All the support is welcome and appreciated. If you have any thoughts, comments, or concerns, I ask that you leave them in the Q&A section below. Please be respectful in the Q&A section, please. We all like to be treated kindly, so let's please do that. And with that, you all have a wonderful week. Until next time, focus in. Hey, future me here. I just wanted to say, I hope the audio sounds better. I'm still using the same mic, which is just my phone. I just hooked it up to my tripod for my camera, and I put my phone on it. It has like the phone grip thing, so I put it on there, and just wanted to just leave in the Q&A section, or just let me know if it sounds better. I hope it does sound better. I mean, I'm listening back to it and it sounds really good compared to last time. So I just want to make sure it sounds good, So just let me know if it sounds better, if it sounds, sounds really good, because all I really did was just move the mic closer to my mouth, and it sounds better to me, So like I said, I appreciate all the support I get. Even if it's just a little bit, I really do appreciate the support. Like I said, it's just been a passion project to get this going. So I really do appreciate all the support, everybody. It really means a lot. I'm hoping to have, like I said, more guests on the show. I already have somebody, my teacher. I don't know if she's gonna listen to this, or when she's gonna be able to listen to this. But you know who you are. She said she wants to come on the podcast and talk with me. So hopefully in the future we can schedule that and get that going. But like I said, everybody, you have a great week, and I'll head out. You all have a great week. Like I said, until next time, please Focus in.